Guys, I am sorry I'm a bit late. Just all got on top of me a little bit. It's getting this file ready to have a look at, and I just realised there was a couple of things I hadn't added in, so I quickly tried to do those, and as a consequence, I'm a little bit late. I do apologise. And as a consequence, there we go. So this is a bit of an impromptu stream. I did mention it yesterday, but I wasn't sure whether I'd sort of get around to it, but I have, thankfully. And the aim today is to have a look at the changes to the Animal Companions. Now, this is a document that I've been working on yesterday and today, and this morning I just had a really good session. I just felt like sometimes when you get an energy for something, I just felt like I just channeled a load of stuff into it. So I was really pleased. And what I thought I'd do is have a little look at what is involved. But we'll give it a few moments. See if we get anybody in. Seems very quiet. Maybe I'm not getting the chat here. What's going on? I can't see any live chat going on. Usually there's a few folks in by now. Am I live? Yes, I am live. And so I don't usually do streams at this time as well. And that's so it's a bit of a test as well, to be honest. It's not a bad time to do it. 4 p.m. British summer time. Not exactly sure what time it is over in America, but it's probably early. And it seems like we're in a position that is different thing. And I just want to go over this, see what people think, which I will do in a minute. Just hang on, bear with me. Just checking something here. David, how you doing? 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Matthew says. How are things? How are things over there? It's very, very quiet. I just wonder whether people are getting... I'm not getting alerts here of having gone live. This is weird. Cloudy in Michigan. It's a beautiful day here in the UK, near Cambridge. And yeah, it's actually going to be a lovely week. It's AM here and chilly. Finally got a day off work. Definitely getting some LLD game time in today. Well, that'll be fantastic. That'd be fantastic, David, if you did. I Jeff's done some extensive testing. I've done some testing. We feel like we're in a good position, and we've been leveraging the player a bit. We've been kind of adding some stuff in to make it easier. I'd rather easier than harder, to be honest. And yesterday I sent off the bookmarks. So we've got, I can show you those. Show you the front of those. We've got a bookmark coming on, which is exciting. So that's off to print. And I sent the cards to print as well. Let's do the front of the bookmark here. There's the bookmark. That's the front, and then the back's obviously got some other stuff on. So feeling good about that. So we have the Contagion card has been printed and sent. We've got the bookmarks designed, checked and sent. We've got the cards designed, checked and sent. And we have, so I don't know whether you'll have the most up-to-date version, David, but most of the rules will be fine, so just go with it. There are maybe one or two little tweaks here and there. I'm going to do a beta 3 tomorrow, and yeah, we'll have a virtually complete set of rules, and then I will probably send those to print maybe at the weekend. The Animal Companion, again, is virtually there. I've got to send it over to some guys to check. And then we're there on that one. So we are looking like we're in a really good place. I just want to try and get this stuff out. I think you're about right with about being done. I think I'm on beta 2. My kids are watching in the living room. Maybe shout out Lane and Easton. Hey guys. Have a great day at school. School, don't forget, is the best time of your life. All right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I had a great time at school. So yeah, just try and enjoy it. You know, and if you get any trouble at school, just look beyond that. Go to your friends. Yeah. Well, my youngest is in. She's got one more year after this at school, and the other two have moved on. One's been through university, so they're a little bit older, but you know. They still live here. Good. Okay, so what I want to do then is I'm going to flip through this Animal Companions and just highlight some of the changes that that I've implemented, and some of my thoughts about the Animal Companion and how it has evolved and changed. And I'm pleased that it's one of the first things that I started working on, because I now look at it differently. I now look at the Animal Companions as something that could be in the Legendary Dungeon as well, which I hadn't really known too much about before when I was initially writing it. So now I've changed some things that will allow you to use it in the Legendary Dungeon. But it's still a 2d6 dungeon expansion, and as it says on the front here, and I'm going to be it's going to be together soon. It's really weird to feel like it's actually we're going to get these things done. You know, I've been working on them for so long now. It feels that way anyway. So the Animal Companions. Let's have a look here. Let's flip across here. So the pages in the front are probably going to be wrong. So we've got these pages are probably slightly off now. So we have a There's an additional page added in, which might not be too bad actually. Matthew, love the cover art. Yes, that is Dean Spencer. It is a stock art. He didn't draw it specifically for the book, but I saw it and it was just inspiring, and I thought, I'm going to use this. Sometimes you just have to do that, especially when you're an indie publisher and you're on a certain amount of limited budget. But perfect. It just worked perfectly. So we have the front page here, contents. Right. So all of this stuff at the beginning is really the same. It's staying the same. It's very little different. The attitude to it being a companion and not a pet. How you met it. The Zegor priests help recognize your bonding, encouraged and strengthen the bond. Back in the village. Healing. I've added a little note in here. Not there actually. Killing blow, rations, all the same. Sharing damage, you can still do that. And we've got so one of the main changes, it's basically about nerfing, because the animal companions were too OP, and it was kind of silly the amount of damage they did. So I kind of reflected on it, and I needed to downscale a lot of it, really, just sort of bring it back down to earth, because the animal companion is really something that can be used as it's like a tool almost. So it's got certain powers, but they're limited, and you've got to protect this companion. So I enjoyed the animal companion in early testing. I'm excited for the decision. Thanks, David. Look, and I appreciate all the work you've been doing as well, my friend. Really do. And this is going to be exciting to have this out, and I'm excited to hear people's adventures with their animal companions, which is why I've spent so long trying to make sure we get this right, and I feel this is the right direction. So we have heft and stealth and health points have been reduced. Okay, so everything is slightly less hefty. This is because heft became a tool, an addition that would be thrown onto damage. And so there were some of these larger creatures which had really high heft, and it was skewing the results. So if you had an octoclaw when you were in level 1, it would just destroy everything. So to make that work, I had to reduce the heft, but also reduce some of the other stuff in the tables, which we'll have a look at as we come to it. HP has also been reduced to a certain extent. So although all the animals are the same, the sizes are the same, heft is the same. Heft isn't the same, stealth isn't the same. The actual stats have been adjusted accordingly, as from testing and feedback, and just reanalyzing the probability of the amount of damage that is done on the attacks. So all the powers are the same, all the abilities, apart from one. One has been added, and it's called Zegor Calming. It's a magic-based power that is basically as a result of the relationship that you have with the Zegor priests back in the village. The animal has absorbed some of their power, and we'll just quickly flip to that power just down here quickly. Here we are. Zegor Calming. So remember there, the Zegor priests work within the Universal Temple in your town. Okay. Now, your companion has absorbed something of the magical essence of the Zegor priests who encouraged your bond. There's this section here, your companion is exposed and takes 2 damage, is is not important. That will be taken out. That is an error there. But this is because I've kind of rushed this to get this up to have a look at today. I've missed that bit there. But your companion, you take the companion to your arms, and warmth washes over you. Gain 1 HP per level of adventurer. Cannot go over baseline. Can be used once per level. Okay, so this basically is like a healing ability that 2 of the animals can have. And if you customize your own, you can add this in to one of your own creatures if you want to. But I was thinking on some level that this would be handy in the more difficult levels, the more challenging Legendary Dungeon, for example. So this, knowing the Legendary Dungeon has meant that this also becomes part of what this power is, So I've kind of taken that experience and fed this into the Animal Companion. So there's a sense that this is part of that development. So this has a wider picture. You can see the table is slightly off level as well there. Zegor calming. I was going to make a note here. Okay, so we'll shoot back up to here. All right. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Right, so we were looking at that. Now, animal temperament still the same. Leveling up abilities still the same. Animal abilities, courage. Right, so there is been a slight adjustment to this page. So I was thinking about the general reality of facing fears and taking courage. Okay, so I was looking at the animal ability, the fears, and I just thought, if your animal gains a fear of warhounds, say, for example, then it would have a fear of all dogs. So what I've done with this is I've expanded it out to include creatures of the same species. So humans, dogs, insects, for example. Now, in the example down below, warhound, dogs, dark cleric, humans. So if your animal has a fear of humans, then it could be a problem. There are issues with fear. Okay, so it can gain a fear of humans, and there's quite a few humans in the Human Ancestry Dungeon, and there's huge spiders. So spiders in general, shard rock pythons, snakes. So that's kind of an example down the bottom that gives you a sense of what this new change is. And I've also put here PLA, per level of adventurer. Just clarification there of PLA abbreviation. So that is what it's meant to be. So courage can turn to fear, yeah, and if the companion takes enough damage to fulfill the fear response. So say it's the same. You can turn it around. You can get the animal companion can gain fear. You can lose the fear. You are that is part of the game still. Okay, wiping fear. So you can wipe fear when you go back to the town. Now, obviously, if you're in the Legendary Dungeon, that's going to be more tricky. But gaining fears in Legendary Dungeon is a different thing. I may need some more clarification on that. Fears species, because if you're fighting in a dungeon, Legendary Dungeon, they're all kind of unique creatures. So that's going to be so that's not going to have too much effect. So definitely. Now the animal does take still the same amount of damage on the abilities as it does with any dungeon, any level. So there's not. So you can take an animal companion into a difficult situation, and they don't fight. They can stay out of the way, and you can nurture an animal into that role. Okay. You can. They don't have to face these creatures and lose a lot of damage. That's one thing. They can be used sparingly if you want. And then they can use abilities outside combat that then are useful. So there's that to think about. So because they don't actually level up, their abilities level up, they are vulnerable, but you will make them more vulnerable if you use them excessively. That's something to think about. Okay, that's always been the case, and having done a Legendary Dungeon, it's kind of been something that I have been thinking about. You know, how vulnerable are these creatures? Right, so every single ability has changed, but what I'm going to do is point out some key changes that are things to sort of look out for when you first get this, because I'm going to be sending this out digitally to people very soon, along with the bookmarks, which you can see on the screen there. So we are pretty much on the way to having this done to send out digitally. There'll be another wave of digital, and when I do that, I will also mention, hey Sam, how you doing? The latest version of the rules is available. So beta 3 will be available probably at the weekend, and then that beta 3 is probably going to be the final rules. In fact, it may just be version 1 of the rules that we release. So that looks like where hopefully we'll be at. Right, so key things to look out for, and this probably isn't the best one to do it on. Neither is that one. A lot of these initial tables are, and you can see the table slightly gone off the side there. I have to deal with that. Aren't damaging tables, so I haven't had to change too much. But you can see here, if I highlight this bit of text here, for this combat, they gain +1 per level of adventurer damage. Okay, so that is basically how I've moved forward with this, to allow for some scaling. So rather than just 3d6 damage, it's now per level of adventurer. And that has been applied across the board, which is just a way of controlling it. Just a way of controlling, making it fairer, not having a... say, for example, if you take... Let's go to... going to go to a... Yeah. So your companion... This is Bite. This is level 1 skill. Your companion does 1 damage, 1 per level of adventurer damage. Okay, so that means if the character is a level 7, they do 7 damage. The animal does 7 damage. And although that doesn't seem necessarily directly related, it reflects the level that you're playing at, which then kind of mirrors onto the animal companion and your environment. Okay, so it's a scale. It's an indication of how vicious the creatures are that you're facing. All right, and it also reflects as well, if you are fighting weaker creatures, you are, your animal companion you are aiding your animal companion. So you are, in a sense, you're making an animal companion more stronger than, let's say, a weaker opponent. So that is like the main. That's like the main change. So there is less damage as a consequence. this is less damage for the lower levels and more damage for the higher levels where you need it. All right. So you still plus half your HE, but one of the things that I was aware of, the stealth aspect of the animal wasn't being used. Matthew, like that scaling feature, agree with companions were beating up on low level creatures when I tested. Fantastic, Matthew. Well, I'm going to send this through to you as well. Well, you'll get it along with everybody else. I mean, I assume you're a backer, so you will get a copy, and then we can pursue with some testing if you want. But we're doing pretty well. So they were beating creatures up, and now they're not going to. Again, there's another table gone a bit skewed. I could look at the tables. I don't know what's going on there. So the stealth skill I have introduced to enable a character to avoid damage when they're facing two enemies. Now I may add some more stealth options. Just writing that down. Now the reason is, otherwise it's a bit of a redundant stat. So basically need to make sure that the stealth is being used, and the animals that have a higher stealth, they get benefits from having that higher stealth. So I will probably actually, now that I talk about it, I will probably make sure that there's a stealth element included in some of these abilities, which should be good. I think that definitely will be good. So just a few things. Again, a lot of these tables, I wonder whether they just, when it's set as the PDF, it knock the tables out. I'll have to have a double check on that, because they looked okay in the publisher file. All right. There are increased stat modifiers on the right hand side, so you can improve your animal stats more readily and more often. So increased stats, you've got the addition of stealth being used, the scaling of the damage, and we've also got to finish off this table as well. And then I'm going to be adding more options to the unpredictable nature of combat table, which we'll see there. This will all be done. So yeah, overall, just taking stuff out, balancing what needed to be balanced, and I feel that has been facilitated. We have a more balanced, less powerful animal companion. So there we have it. There. Feel very pleased. The framework was all there. I just needed to tweak it. And from feedback from Matthew, from David, from Jeff, from Mark, we're in a better position, which is good. So we can move forward on that. Yeah, hopefully I'll get this done. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe get this done tomorrow. Definitely going to get. Definitely going to send it out to some of the guys tonight to check in for errors. See a potential for a bookmark for yes. I was thinking about the implication of that. Yes, Matthew. This would fit on a bookmark, I feel. We could get that on a bookmark. Maybe that's something we'll do. That could be very handy. Could be very handy. And then let's have a look at the companion sheet. So this has been updated. You've got the little level thing that was in the top right corner has been taken out because it doesn't have level. And then the heft, stealth, and temperament have been changed. In fact, I may even adjust that slightly, so heft and stealth are the same size. We'll just make a note there. They're slightly different sizes, which is very annoying. I didn't realise. So the heft and stealth box here. And then I've given a bit more space for the temperament. And that's because before we were squeezing in what the temperament was and then a line of text which describes the benefit or the penalty of the temperament. So that there has been updated. So you then got the ability and then the fears and the courage at the bottom. So you've got like, you'll get a sense of your animal companion and the kind of their flexibility, their reactions, the fears and concerns that they have, and hopefully this character of an animal will start to grow and you'll get to understand your companion a bit better. But not to the level where they overtake the importance of the main character. That's something I'm always being aware of with this. I didn't want this to be something that was like 3 more sheets of stuff, all that stuff. Although, if you wanted to journal about your animal companion, there's no reason why you can't, and expand that out within that context. So, yeah, Bart Moss, how are you doing? Good name, I like that one. And yeah, I feel like we're in a really good position with this particular product. We've also got tiny elephants in it. No, they're not, unfortunately. It's a nice little idea. We could maybe at some point there will be additional animals that come along. And we've got another drawing by Jake, the cave goat. There, we've added him in. A kind of squat, muscular goat, lives in caves. Are very suitable to go down into a dungeon. Doing good. Have you? Thank you. I am. Yeah. Pygmy hippos. There's going to have to be a whole range of. Maybe at some point I link in the companions with Realm. And hey Mark, good to see you. I know, sorry, it's a bit of an impromptu stream. It's just an additional stream people can watch back later. I hope you're well, my friend. And yeah, watch back later. I know it's a bit awkward, but it's easy for me just to do it now. And then I'll do my main stream on Friday when we'll get back in. Maybe we'll do some more animal companion stuff. I'm not sure. It may be that that's completely done by then. I'm going to be sending this out. I'm going to be sending the version out of this tomorrow to my guys to check. So yeah, Kirill, evening all. Long time since I joined but excited to follow updates. Thank you for ongoing hard work, Toby, and all the playtesters. Kirill, thank you. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, it has been going well. We've got the contagion card, the bookmark. We've got the rules virtually done. Now we're just got like a couple more days of that. Animal Companion is like a day or two away. We've got what else have we got? We've got all the folders. We're getting the pencils printed. It's all go, which is exciting. And then we can lay this one to rest and then just enjoy playing it, which is exciting. Yeah. So this artwork is by Jake Abington. Now I've encouraged Jake to start his own Patreon page. If you're watching this, he's probably watching this. But have I got his? Let me add in here. This text is going to be big. That's always so big. Doesn't need to start out that big, does it? Okay. Where is it here? Have I got it? No. I used to wrestle a cave goat called Herman. Actually, was a large billy goat in real life. What? Have to run. Thanks for all the hard work, Matthew. Thank you. Right, let me just put up his link here. Let me just do this. Yes, Nick just put a message on the page. Let me just find this here. I think this is it. Yes. All right. I put this up here. It's probably not very. I don't know whether this is going to be helpful for him. Here we are. I think it's something like that. Yes, Bartmoss, play the games that you buy. It's actually really good when you do it. Yeah, no, I've got a fair few games that I don't play, but yeah, no, it's nice. It's nice to actually have a read of some of the stuff anyway, even if you don't play it. It gives you an idea, shows you what's going on. So that's Jake there. So he's going to be uploading content. I think he's uploaded one today. About the development, well, about the drawings that he does for me, and also all the new 2D6 Void pictures. So you're going to be able to see some 2D6 Void drawings before anybody else, if you're following Jake. If you can become his patron. I don't know what he's set the things at. He's not really a very technical person. He does a lot of traditional style drawings. But in any case, that's there if you want to go and check out some of his artwork and support an artist who does me drawings at a very good rate. So yeah, that he is there. You can see some of his drawings here, but you'll also get to see some of the 2D6 Void coming, which is obviously the science fiction version of 2D6 Dungeon, if you didn't know that already. So there's a lot of hype going on around that, although I'm not really thinking too much about that in the last couple of weeks. So yes, what have we got here now? There's a small chance that I might expand out the the animal temperament and give them maybe I might just put in here a little traits thing. So there might be, so there's temperament and you get the name of temperament, but there may be an option to add a trait that is kind of fun, that like mushroom obsession. When it sees mushrooms, it wants to eat them all. Something like that, you know, or what else could it be? Any ideas? Animal traits. What do you think, guys? Any animal traits? Now, if you're watching this video back, put them in the comments section. I'm not talking about being aggressive, or I'm talking about specific little things that animals do, that your animals do, that might make it fun. And it's something I can tie into an item or something within the game. So it could be, as I say, some kind of obsession. Is that the right word for food thing? What would you call it? And it could be, what else could it be? something that makes it barks unexpectedly. Dig for truffles. Yes. Dig for truffles. Could what else? Could tiny elephants could steal apples the character might find. Steal. Ah, Trebbit, my dog loves to bury her bones in the yard. Oh, bury. I like that. Bury bones. Yes. What does my cat like to do? My cat is a very weird cat. Likes to just randomly sit, just kind of find a space which you would look at and you'd think there's no way anything could ever sit there, but yet it manages to kind of squeeze its body into a slot onto the top of a printer or within a gap. What have we got here? David said random retrieval. Yes. Retrieval. I like that. Retrieval, random things at all the time. Right. Nibbles holes. Yes. Nibbles holes in backpack. Ah. Nibbles holes. Like it. Cats give characters condescending stares. That's really good. Condescending. I don't know how I'm going to tie that in. My cat just gives me a terrified, like she's going to kill me stare. It's like she looks at me like I'm gonna kill you now. I hate you. And then it comes around to food time, and it's because she's like, she loves me. Howard used to stand on the shelf in his hut. Ah, Helmut. Have you told me about this before? Helmut. Mine likes to leave gifts on the porch. Ah, yes, that's a good point. Leave gifts. Mainframe, how you doing, my friend? Toby, would you ever consider using Gameforge instead of Kickstarter? Kind of moved away from Kickstarter now. Most of my pledges are through Gameforge. Sorry if it's off topic. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. Am I going to sneeze? Yes, hang on. Oh, sorry about that, folks. I have thought about it. I've got a really big community on Kickstarter. It would scare the hell out of me to shift platforms. I mean, if I was a big company with advertising, budget, and a willingness to give up a larger percentage of my profits, then that may be me. But it's so scary. It might be something that I could try at one of my smaller games on and see what happens. Sometimes you've got to go big, haven't you? I don't know. I do like Kickstarter, and it's always been it's the reason why I do this. So I don't see any reason to move. I just think it's a fantastic, absolutely fantastic platform. Bartmoss, cats could get in the way. They drag in dead birds and mice. And remember, the chances of being killed by a cat are very small, but they are not zero. I don't know. I mean, I think you could be killed by anything. So, what's zero? Could you be killed by feathers? If you choked on them, you could. Cats really, really threaten anything that's large, but they can slash. They can definitely cut and hurt you. Damage you. I think they'd struggle to. Thank you guys. Why aren't you guys? Tell me why you're not a fan of Kickstarter. Is it because there's been like one or two big guys that haven't fulfilled their pledges? I can tell you now, there are thousands of really small independent publishers that rely on Kickstarter and always fulfill their pledges. If you're judging it by one or two big guys who haven't fulfilled for like years, then that's not the approach people should take. You just got to look at someone like me or other creatives who draw upon that the huge arena that is Kickstarter. It's a wonderful thing. It's allowed a blossoming of indie publishers and journals and zines and games. It's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. I am a massive fan. Yeah, it's because, mate, GameFound is primarily focused on board games and TTRPGs. Yeah, board games are big companies. To do a board game, it can basically destroy your company. If you do a big board game, if it's not done right, then especially at the moment with all the issues about extra postage, so it is a tough one. David says he uses both and very picky. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I actively encourage anybody to use GameFound. If we can expand this industry out, the more people, the better in my mind. Just because I love Kickstarter doesn't mean I don't love the idea of GameFound or what's the other one? Game Foundry, whatever it's called. David just got home from work. Fantastic. That is good news. Blimey. Starglider, good to see you. Yeah, I mean it's one of these. It's just one of these things. It's like I don't understand people who. Thank you, Mainframe. I don't understand. I'm just being honest, as from a creator's point of view. I don't understand people that are very willing to slag off other platforms, other creators in their own industry. It's such an old-fashioned. It's so old-fashioned to think they're my competitors. It's so old. I mean, it's ridiculous. Think about it. You play a game, you play it for 6 months, then you want another game. Yeah? Where's that going to come from? If the creators it just keeps people interested in the industry, then they'll come back to your game or they'll go to another game. It's like, there's enough for everybody. It's a massive cake. Backer kit. Adam, thank you. I'm delighted that there is backer kit, GameFound, Kickstarter, all this wonderful platforms. Yes, there are some suspect people, but wherever you go in the world, that's the case. Whether it's Kickstarter or McDonald's or a shop down the street or house down the road. It's like, come on, we make decisions ourselves, don't we? We kind of like. We have to assess the situation. We don't always win. We don't always luck out with these things. But, I just think the bigger the arena, the better. We want more RPGs. We want more people engaged in our hobby. We want people. We don't want gatekeepers. We want people who are. I want to learn from the gatekeepers and understand what their games are like and what they're doing. We want in. And I think to a certain extent, I just think that to a certain extent, we must appreciate the art. We're so lucky. Look at us able to do this, to live a life where I can create, people can consume, other people can create. How amazing is that, I currently got an issue with a project on BackerKit that BackerKit haven't replied to me about yet after 10 days. Well, that's weird. Has that gone through, Mark? No, that's very strange. Doesn't matter where Toby runs his crowdfunding. Oh man, chaos. How are you, my friend? He is known entity and delivers quality products. Whatever platform works best for him is fine with me. Oh man, thank you. I appreciate that. I have no problem with project failing, says Bart Moss. I do my own risk assessment, but with someone spams their shitty Temu projects, I expect the platform to list. Yes. So I always feel it to a certain extent. The con artists in this world, the people who want to get stuff in front of you, no matter whether you want it or not, they infiltrate. They're infiltrators by their very nature. So if you're in a situation where you're providing a great service, it happens to me. I'm providing a service, I'm providing a product, and people are like, we love this, Toby. And then someone latches on to you because they want some of your limelight. At that point, I have to then look at them and say, is this someone who's interested in what I'm doing? Because then they'll understand the people here and they'll provide something that is interesting for them, And so do I let them in and do it? Yeah, and then if I let them in and if they abuse the situation, I have to kind of take some responsibility for that. But then I just have to push them out. And I just can imagine that the Temu projects, if they become an issue, they'll just be closed off. Whatever that thing is, Bart Moss. It's just unfortunate to a certain extent. We all have to face some of this stuff before it gets deleted. And then it goes and we don't even think about it. It's like gone. It's gone through the system. Doesn't always work like that, but that's kind of how I see it. And I kind of feel like, if you're the cream rises to the surface, is that what the cream rises to the surface? Is that right? Is that the saying? We kind of just have to. I mean, spam from actual clear scam projects. Oh right. Well, then they need to be gone. I don't know what that's about. I'm sorry. As much as I would love to discuss the problems of Kickstarter, I have to join a meeting. Have a great evening. Bart Moss, great to see you. Great name. Love your avatar. Man, let's see. I hope to see you again soon. Mainframe. Currently I have over £3,000 worth of pledges on GameFound. The main reason being I can pay in instalments. Wouldn't have been able to afford paying for the straight up Kickstarter. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's a very interesting point, Mainframe. Thank you for making that. I feel like maybe that's something that Kickstarter could offer. Would that mean that the Kickstarter covers the cost? Because if you think about it, if I've got a project and I'm looking for, say, 10,000, just as a random figure. Remember the tiny elephants? I will. If I'm looking, say, at 10,000, and half of those people don't pay on completion, where does that money come from? Is that because I would need that money pretty much when I need to print the books, whatever it is. And if I've only got a small amount, does that mean that GameFound cover the costs and then you pay GameFound back with some interest? Is that how it would work? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting. I could understand why. Increasingly so, you see it like on Patreon. I think I've spotted it fairly recently. Is it Patreon? No. Oh no, Amazon. You can pay installments, but that's probably been around for a while now. But yeah. No, I it's often. a bad experience in any walk of life can put people off anything. We have to remember that. You have to remember that. That's in the front of my mind all the time. Every single person that is invested in what I do, I treat with the utmost respect. I hope that comes through, and I will always think about, how a new person will see the 2D6 world and how they'll interact with it, and whether it's accessible. If they have a bad experience, how can I make that up to them? Whatever the situation, I think it's really key. I think that's one of the successes of good customer service, but also just what people want. It does, Toby, come through. Thanks for the awesome games. Have loved all of them. Oh man, Mainframe, thank you. Yeah, it is tricky. I this December I will have been full time for 5 years on this, which is just mind blowing. So I say that and I can't even believe it. And I feel like I'm in a privileged position. I never take it for granted, and I work very hard to live these worlds that I create, and I just want to be in these worlds. I'm very lucky, and you guys just make it happen. So yeah, this is a very appreciative creator. So don't take anything for granted. I've had some pretty crappy jobs in my life. I've had some pretty damn good jobs. I've worked with all types of people, and I'm just hopefully that comes through with what we do. Yeah. So I think that's sorry, I really got on one then, didn't I? Sorry about that, folks. I do think that it is. I actually feel like when I see a project that has failed on any of the platforms, I always think that's such a shame. It's such a shame for those people, because you look at the project and they've offered physical products as add-ons. I think to myself, that is tough, because there's no way you can accommodate how much it's going to. You can't project how much it's going to cost for physical add-ons. They're really tough unless they're small and affordable. You can see a project that might sink itself through adding extra figures for the add-ons, and you're like, oh my god! Then you realise by the time that add-ons reaches, they're going to have 2,000 backers. There's an extra 2,000 figures, and it's thousands of pounds. You're like, whoa, okay, because you've got to get the molds designed and made, and the art. It's like there's so much involved with stuff like that. I've looked at it. I've thought about doing a miniatures game. We're not quite finished by any means with the 2D6 adventure. There's loads to come with that, and in the meantime I'm doing some other little games around it which I'm enjoying, things like IST, and I'm going to be doing a game. Well, I'm working on a game at the moment called Wild West Marshall, which is of this format that you can just carry in your pocket, take it out, go on a job. They're called jobs, and you can investigate. And so it's going to be that, and they're going to reskin that for a pirates one as well. So we've got a few other games to come out. I haven't. The design process as well, I would say, is a very unpredictable beast, because with the Wild West Marshall, I invented a series. I created a series of rules, and I looked at them and I realised, whoa, I've just gone a bit too complicated here. So I then had to start again. Basically, I drew in some of the stuff that I had. Obviously, I had all the kind of theme and stuff, so I could tie that in. But And you know, other people have given me links, like Mark's given me links I've looked at and kind of referred to, and I kind of you know, looked at some films and been watching Deadwood, get the vibes going, and then so I then wrote another set, and I'm much happier with this set for what I now realise I want personally. And you've got to do that, actually. You've got to, sometimes you've got to say to yourself, you know, you've got to say to yourself, you know, do I want to play this game? It's that simple. It's like, do I want to play this game? And so far, all my games that I've made fall into that category. So I will sit down and, like, recently I sat down and I played Rad Zone again on the stream. You can check that out down below on the video, in the video YouTube channel, and you'll see me playing through an episode, and I really enjoyed it. And I know I'm saying that, but actually I did. So I think that's important. Any people that want to be game designers out there, that's what I would say. Just make sure that you're enjoying what you do. And the same goes for writing, just generally. If you're writing a book or a short story and you're thinking, God, every time you come to it, you're like, oh, it's like, you need to change it. You need to change it up, because people will see that. People will see that. The project on Backer Kit I have issues with has completed its PDFs, but the hard copies that were supposedly being sent out from July still haven't been sent out, and they've gone dark. Oh man, you know what's happened there. The development's taken too long. They've had to pay their bills and their mortgage, and now they realise they haven't got enough money to print the books. Oh man, at least you got the PDF. It's such a pain. It is a balancing act. I mean, we are at the point now, at the tipping point. So we got to print the stuff, and then we're going to be going straight into another project, because that's our. It's like your building contract. It's like your building contract. You need commissions. You know you need jobs to work on. You're a builder. You need jobs. Yeah, I'll quote you for that. Here's your money to do this project, which is like for me with Kickstarter. So you have to be able to balance that out. Thankfully, Jo, my wife, she's good with all this stuff. So we're on target. As long as one of the big things as well you have to think about as a small business is when you're going to pay your bloody taxes. So at the end of January, you pay the taxes in this country, and so we've got to make sure that our next project is projected into that time, so we get it done before we have got to pay taxes, and then we can carry on. Because a lot of what people don't realise is, if you're doing these projects, you're earning enough money now to pay tax. It's your job. You've got to pay tax on this, and you know, as a business. And so I've got to work that in, so people see the total. Oh, that's tons of money. He's going to be fine. Actually, there's a big percentage of that has gone for having to pay taxes. So you know, there's hidden stuff. It's a minefield. But Mark, I hope that they are able to resolve it and get that out. It's a shame. Were you pleased with the PDFs? Starglider, I value the engagement you give to the community, Toby. Oh man, thank you. It's not all expected as it's not at all expected as an entitlement ever, but always appreciated and always fun. Thank you, Starglider. Thank you. Did we have that discussion whether that 77 is your birth year, or was that something else? Did I ask you that? Because 77 is a good vintage. I mean, I'm 75, but 77 is when Star Wars came out. So that's always a good date. I think I may have asked you this before. Sorry, I've got a bit of an itchy nose. Right, so that's good. It's one of the things that's nice about showing stuff on stream is I analyse it again. It's almost as if in a different set of eyes. So I spot a couple of things that maybe need to be correcting. It's part of the process with this campaign to show as we go. Show as we go. That's my new campaign slogan. Show as we go. It just as Starglight's talking about the engagement, I love putting stuff out there and just getting people involved. So Starglider. Nice one. Good vintage. Gen X. Nice. Yes. Gen X rule the world. Not. Oh man. It's funny, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, we didn't have names for generations as far as I remember. It may have been the post-war generation, may have been something we said. I don't think we even said things like boomers or anything like that. But now you're classified into a whole Bear with me. I think you'll find 83 is a vintage year. Now that is... Empire Strikes Back. When did Empire Strikes come? I think Return of the Jedi is 86. Empire Strikes Back is... When is Empire Strikes Back? Is it 79? 80. Yeah. It's a pretty good year. But you see, the problem with 83 is you didn't really get to savour the 80s as much. The best decade. Although being born in the 80s is definitely a good point. You're a 90s child though, aren't you? Really, you kind of, David, you kind of really excelled in the 90s. Because the first fighting fantasy book came out yeah, Starguide, 80s for the win. Can we go back? I know. Well, look, one of the nice things about living in a postmodern age is you can access all the different types of cultures, can't you? We've got access to that. So on some level we do. When we sit down and watch Terminator or Predator, you know, or we listen to the music, you know, we can take ourselves back a little bit. Turning 42 on Saturday. Well, happy birthday, David. Oh, man. Throwing that out over you. Okay. 42. Wow. Yeah. Well, I hit the big 50, but I didn't want to do anything for it. So I'm just not a big birthday person, although I appreciate the little present. You're all babies, says Mark. Do we dare Mark to put down his vintage? Yeah. No, the 80s was fantastic. I know, look, it had its issues, all right? Baby boomer. Oh, yeah, okay. Boomer. Yes. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, happy birthday for Saturday, David. 50 here as well, says Adam. It's a good age. I feel like we've Do you know your game's demographic? Would be interesting to know. Yeah. There's a lot of late 71 here. So 11 for most of 83. Started secondary school. Yes. Prestige P. You really lived the 80s then. Because obviously 80... I was 75. So I went into... so I was 10 in 85. And then 85 to 90 is kind of like... That was peak childhood time. So I was lucky. Because I've seen my kids grow up in the last 20 years, and I've just been appalled at some of the stuff that they've had to put up with. David, 91. Ah, okay, you're a bit of a youngster. Fair. Respect. See, look, the demographic mainframe. Look, there you go. We've already got a 58 to the 91 there. So we have a good wide, and actually more women than you think. Because I know we get a lot of guys on here, but there's quite a lot of women. That was just fantastic. Sam's 70. Does that mean you're 70 years old, or you were born in 1970? It was great for young teen. Yeah, 2000 AD Games Workshop, Trash Medal, all great from... Yes, awful timing for being a late teen, 88 to 90. Yeah. I'm only kidding, Sam. I know it was 1970. Yes. Oh, man. Oh. It's just that I just see the kids today. They're so aware of how they look. God, it's like this thing, isn't it? There's some stat. There's more a kid in a standard day that's on TikTok or whatever they do. There is a goat. The squirrel is coming. Don't worry, David. I've got Jake Abington on it. Jake's sorting that out. Although we may not do the ones that just look normal. There's a chance that I can't remember whether I've sent him a load of references, but I'm like, yeah, it's coming. It's coming, maybe. But that fashion stuff was creeping in the late 80s when everything had to be cool. Yeah. Oh, no. I'm not talking about fashion. I'm talking about the pressure of looking good all the time for people. Because they're constantly taking pictures. There's this stat of some stupid thing I heard someone say about the fact that a kid these days takes more pictures of themselves in one day than we did our entire childhood. The scope of that statement is so mind-blowing in a way. You kind of have to think, how many pictures exist of that child, of that person? You know, it's like... And everybody's constantly looking at them. You know, how much pressure does that put on the physical? That's a lot of stress. That's a lot of stress for people to feel like. Because I remember being like 15, wearing the baggy jeans were coming in, and I'm like, do I look cool enough? You know, I've got to get my hair cut. But I had that pressure all the time. That'd be madness. Chero's leg arm. I'll be climbing Snowdon. You'll be climbing Snowdon on Saturday. I try and do it every birthday. Oh, that's really cool, David. Man, I envy a lot of that stuff you do there. It's fantastic. Remember when all the media was afraid of what they were going to look on TV when we moved to 4K? When all the media was afraid of what they were going to... Yeah. And at that age, Adam says, their brains are telling them they have to fit in. Yeah. It's like, whoa. And it's like, I just feel like that's so unfair that they don't get their own time. I think to kind of. Now look, I've worked with children a lot. Okay, so I've seen this in action. So this isn't. I'm not just spewing this out from my own kind of theories, because I used to work with special needs children. I've been a teacher for a long time. You know, you kind of feel like they can't get away from it. You know, and you know, it's constantly a pressure. Sadly, my two kids are very cool, unlike their dad at that age. Prestige P. Look, some of it's going to rub off on them, all right? Yeah. It's like it's difficult to convey to younger people what they missed out on. I really believe that the 80s, early 90s were peak for kids growing up. Or maybe that's biases. We're definitely biased. There's definitely bias, but I think that we've got some good arguments. I think the actual physicality of things, making things, using things, was taught us about the world, taught us about how things worked and the function and the physicality, the actual physics of things is. Kids don't know anything about it these days. Very little. There's a few that do. Like my son's quite good with computers to a certain degree. But, you know, just putting a cassette in a tape player, the sounds, the experiential elements of it, like vinyl as well. Vinyl's had a massive resurgence, hasn't it? Because we can identify the quality of things. We can say the sound of this vinyl is different than digital quality, but it has a different resonance in the space, and you see the record, and it's like we want the experience of it. And I think we kind of do hark back for those physical experiences now. I think it's really silly, and I'm experiencing it now, trying to parent kids entering school and not buying them phones. Are you trying to not? Yeah. Analog for the win, says Mainframe. Yeah, well, I think it should be a good balance. To a certain extent, I want to equip my children, and I did, with the ability to handle technology and to exist in their current world. You can't deny them this, but you have to, in some level, give them some of those physicality stuff, some of that how to actually interact with the physical world. You know, that a lot of kids miss. Jeff, good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. We've gone off subject a little bit. I'm kind of spewing. So we used to have imagination. We used our imagination so much more, says Starglider. The adventures we had out and about. No phones, no doom and gloom. Doom and gloom. Bloody hell, man. That follows. You can't avoid the news, can you? You just cannot avoid, like, what President Trump is saying, or, you know, they're kind of the wars in the world. And I'm not saying we should escape them. We should be aware of them, but they kind of haunt us. You know, take a view on this. Take responsibility. We're telling you how this is. There's a constant barrage of people trying to convince you of things. And you know, I talk to people, my friends, and they tell me something, and I'm like, now where did you hear that? You know, it's like how people quote to me social media as fact. I'm like, hang on. You know, what references did that have? You know, it's like we're creating an artificial reality, not AI. We're creating our own artificial reality about how we want to see the world, because that is basically, you tailor everything, don't you? I've still got vinyl, but actually need to get rid of it now. Oh, well, Mark, hold on to it, man. if you enjoyed it, maybe you should get a record player and play some tunes. Get yourself a music room. That's what I want, a music room. Maybe with a few... I want a library, but I want a music room so I can just sit and listen to music. You know, appreciate the art of music and just like listen to it and find obscure vinyls and listen to them. I know that sounds a bit pretentious, but I kind of want that experience. I kind of feel like I need that sort of experience now. Adam says, we had the choices before they had to work. Farms, factories, dad's shop after us. They didn't work. We were in the middle and could be busy, but didn't have to be. Balance, yes. Yeah. I just think that you've got to have... I think it's great to have balance. Teaching the skills. So this is how you survive social media. But look, come and play this board game. You know, board games are a great way into some of what the 80s and the 90s, early 90s were about. You know, you could... the resurgence of board games is very much is led by Gen X. You know, people, and then encouraging younger people in. And our kids love board games, and they like to role play as well. So you know, we've kept that stuff with them, and I try and get them to do jobs. Like one of my son's tires it's got a slow puncher on, and I've been showing him how to pump the tire up, you know, and do stuff like that. You know, you gotta balance it out. I'm glad you're here, Jeff. Yeah, we used a 1970s grinding radiogram, and the sound is insane. I'd forgotten what music was meant to sound like. To be fair, my kids love all the old stuff. Prestige P, that's fantastic. That fills me with happiness. Yes, Grundig. I don't quite know how to say it, but you know. When I was a kid, Mark says, I was always up the local park and only had 3 or 4 TV channels. Yeah, Mark, you can be a Gen X and be in the same situation. We had like 4 to 5 channels up until relatively late in my childhood, and it meant that everybody was talking about the same shows. Everybody was part of the same clan. You kind of like everybody talked about Grange Hill, you know. Just Say No. It was like the biggest thing ever. Everybody talked about it, and we all felt like we were in the same group, even though we each had our little niches. We all talked about the football that was on the TV on Saturday, or we went to the football match together. Or there's stuff like that. And these days, there's so many niches. You know, the kids look up there at different forms of anime that they enjoy, and they're like. And you know they can't find anybody else in their class that enjoys the same anime, so they're not part of that group. You know, it's like, whoa. You know, we had 2 hours of children's TV from 3:30 to 5:30, then Neighbours, and we all loved Neighbours, for God's sake. I mean, everybody watched Neighbours or Home and Away. In fact, there were 2 clans. You watched Home and Away or Neighbours, and it was kind of like, it was crazy. And getting out. I used to love just trying to find insects. I must have been about 10. But I had like these Ladybird books, which was the name of the publisher. And you open it, it'd give you all the details. And I'd just go with my friend Morgan, and we'd go to like a field. He had a field attached to his house. And we'd go and look in the ditches for insects. I mean, kids these days, they look at you like you were mental. Prestige P says, I was a metal fan living on a council estate in the 80s, so had a good chunk of doom and gloom. Thatcher's, Britain Nuclear, Armageddon, though that might have just been Birmingham. I think that every age we go through, there's always a level of poverty in different parts of the country. I personally don't attach it to any government. I feel like every government has this, you know. I don't think... I'm not... it's difficult to say. Look, I lived a good portion of my childhood on a council estate, so I know what that's like. You know, it's not the greatest thing in the world. And for those in America, that council estates is like council-owned properties that you don't own. You rent from the council for like a cheaper rate. Oh, Mike says he has a turntable. Oh, why are you getting rid of them then? What are your thoughts on board games with digital components? Adam, it's a good question. I personally don't use them. I've seen people enjoy them. I feel it's almost sort of redundant to a certain extent. I feel like there was a phase of that. Do you remember when what was there was a board game where you had DVDs and you put a DVD in and it would have a face on a screen and I can't remember what the game was called. There was a couple like that. It was a bit faddy. I feel like apps and games, I don't personally see the appeal, but I don't hold anything against anybody doing it. It's not like I feel it's like breaking any rules or anything. I just personally feel like it's you so engrossed with the board game. Why to then grab your app and do all that? If maybe for single player stuff, it probably has more function. But yeah, I kind of feel that way. Paul, hang on a minute. What are your thoughts on board games with digital? So yeah. Oh, do you mean apps? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure what you mean there, Adam. But I just like to keep it just with like pen and pencil or just board game pieces. Me too. Music room and library. Just a matter of space and getting rid of the other things. Yeah, I know. Well, we have a massive collection of books, so we are book lovers in our family. My eldest she's obsessed with books. She's got hundreds and hundreds of books, and I collect different types of books. You know, the books that mean stuff to me. So like fighting fantasy books. Heads up. That's a big one for me. But also I collect traditional sci-fi as well. I've got a lot of sci-fi. Really into sci-fi. And just general RPG rule books that maybe I never played, but that I was around for that era. But the music room is like a dream. Just some nice reclining chairs in the music room. Just sit there for an hour. Just listen to some music. It'd be fantastic. Just life's too chaotic for that at the moment. But I just hope one day I'll find a space. Hope I find a space for that. Paul, good to see you. Good to have you here, my friend. 80s metal fan in California. But there we go. Nice one, Jeff. Mark says, I used to have a load of I Spy books. They were fantastic. I even bought I Spy books for my kids. So that has spanned the generations, I Spy books. And if those of you that maybe don't know what I Spy books are, they're just basically little A6 books. And in them, it's based on a topic. It might be birds. And it'll have a bird on each page, a bit about it, and then whether you spotted it, you just tick it. It was just like you collect them all. It was like the early Pokemon. Board games with digital attachments seem to defeat the object to me, Mark says. Nightmare! Prestige P. It could have been Nightmare. Yeah, it could have been. Oh no, it was Atmosphere. Stefan, thank you. That was the DVD. Yes. It was, yes. Atmosphere it was. Yes. Star Trek did one and Sherlock Holmes too, Mark says. Well, I feel it's a bit like that on some level. I feel we're always going to go back to just traditional board games because you're buying into that experience when you do a board game. I feel you're saying to yourself, I'm going to try and just back away from the computer just while I play this with the family, and to have to then have a digital component is, I guess, it defeats that purpose to a certain extent, potentially. Yes. It was Atmosphere. Stefan comes in with just one word and just nails it. The Mansions of Madness board game digital integration is really good. But yeah, generally we play board games for the tactile and get away from screens, says Starglider. I think you're right. Yeah. I think, well, I mean, I've been with people who, and it's a little bit mean to do, sort of fun, but you know, you're with someone and you get into the subject of screen time. You say, Have you checked your screen time on your phone? Check your screen time, because you can. And some people don't even know you can do that. So you check it, and it comes up like 6 or 7 hours in a day, and you're like, how on earth did I do that? Where's that part of my life gone? It's kind of been sucked into the void. It's a shame. I mean, I look at my phone because it's partly part of the job, but I'm always trying not to. I try not to, because when I see people do it a lot, I'm like, this isn't good. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. It feels like there's something intervening in your function as a human being. I mean, look, when I think that a lot of Gen X, including myself, easily forget that there was a home computer, the Commodore 64 and the VIC-20 and all that stuff, that Spectrums that came in the 80s, in the early 80s. I can remember getting mine when I was about 8 or 9, my Commodore 64. My dad came home with it. Now that's one thing he was really good at. He did buy me some great stuff like that. My dad's always been very aware of games and toys. And he brought it back and changed my life. And I spent a lot of time on computers. But I also got out and looked for insects in fields, or went and played sports, or just stuff like that, So we did a lot of screen time when we were younger as well. So we can't overlook that. David says 6 or 7 hours is very true for a lot of people I know and work with. I can read a whole book in that time. David says, yeah. It is crazy that I think that I mean, there's so many benefits to smartphones. There are. You can do your banking on it. You can do face cam. You can record videos. You can take photographs. There's so many benefits, but I do think that you've just got to be careful. And we tried to impart this to our children as they've grown up. I think that's kind of what you have to try and do, isn't it? And try and give them a balance, as I was saying earlier. I only got a smartphone 18 months ago, and that was only because my non-smartphone was dying. Well, that's fantastic. That is, yeah. That's proper boomer. Well done, Mark. Let me just close this curtain a sec. The sun's just coming in through the window there. Yeah. I had a Timex Sinclair computer, Jeff says, hooked up to a TV and loaded programs to a cassette player. Yes. Well, I've got a bit of a collection, to be honest. I've started to collect retro computers. I mean, I started a while ago now, and I've got like a load. I've got to do some repairs on my. I've got an Amiga, but I've got my Commodore 64 there. Look. Got to listen to this. Okay. There you go. I took you right back then. I had a Sinclair Spectrum and then a Commodore Amiga. Yes, Commodore Amiga. Flipping out, that was amazing. Amazing computer. I've got one down here. But it needs fixing. One of the chips needs replacing. Oh God, I just breathed up some. I'm going to sneeze again now. Hang on. I do that off camera just to spare you the grief. The Amiga I upgraded from half a meg RAM to a whole meg. Yes, Meg, not a gig, yeah. I started out with a wood grain Atari 2600. 2600. How did they say? I can't remember how they say it. I didn't have Ataris. I had an Amiga. There was always the conflict, wasn't it? It was always that was the argument. So yeah, fantastic. So Jeff and Mark and David and Michael. Was it Michael? Stefan, that was me sucking up dust from that Commodore 64 I just got out of there. Yeah, I'm going to send you this tomorrow. Animal Companion. The only thing that's holding us back is Jake's got to do the rest of the animals for the book. But I'm going to send you it without that anyway. And then we'll have the Animal Companion mostly done. And the work, and Jake, I've encouraged Jake to open a new Patreon account. And it's at the top there, Jake Hamilton. And you're going to see him chronicle these drawings for the rest of the animals and 2D6 Void. So you'll see pictures of Void before I probably put it live. Paul says C64, then a Commodore Super Pet to learn to program in 5 different computer languages. Did that work out? Did that work? Did you learn that on the Pet? Because that would be amazing, Paul. God, it's fascinating. The analog. Brilliant. So you really sunk your brain into that kind of 80s computer front, 90s stuff. Wow. Brilliant. Yeah, guys, what a great little chat. I felt like it's nice to be able to, I felt like talking today. And Joe's under the weather, so I've just been talking at her. So it's nice to be able to have a chat. I learned to do a bit of programming in BASIC at grammar school in about 1974. Well, when I was at secondary school, we had computer studies, which was like a revelation. So this was 86 onwards. So we go into the computer room, benches, and BBC micros set up all around the room with their yellow and orange keys and their brown keys. And we did, was it Turtle or something like that, where you had to enter the program it to move the turtle around the screen. That was what we did. And that was BBC's. I think they were set up. Didn't they design those computers for schools? I can't remember. First job out of college was because I learned a new needed language over a week before my second interview. Fantastic. We had Nimbus computers at my first school. Nimbus. Don't really know those. Yeah. It's all that clunky stuff. You know, it was brilliant. No. Massively enjoyed all that. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, nice to my friend says Cumulo. I don't know. Cumulo? Don't know those ones. Yeah. Don't know. I wish that I had some of that stuff left. I've only got a few things left from my childhood. I've reinvested, and I've searched around for stuff like the C64s and some of the old books. I had a big stack. I had all the Fighting Fantasy books up to something like 40, and I had them in a box. and that box went missing, and so I lost everything. And that included signed editions and stuff. So I was so gutted. I don't even like thinking about it. Cumulonimbus, sorry, haha. Okay. Oh God. I thought that was a type of computer, but you were just making an astronomical reference, weren't you, or something like that? A cloud reference. The RM Nimbus, great snake, Martello Tower. Snake is classic, though, isn't it? I mean, come on, we all had that on our first crappy phones. We had to send our programming sheets to the local college to get the cutout cars printed to put them into the mainframe. Fantastic. That's brilliant. That is, wow. Yeah, that is, and there wasn't really huge amounts that you could access. So I can remember I used to love going down to the local shop that would have a whole range of things. No vapes. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm not going to get onto that. And you could buy computer magazines, and there were lots of them. And they would obviously have the code that you could type in to your Commodore 64, whatever computer. And I used to love going down, getting one, and pick the shortest program to enter in. If I ever got it to work, it was really disappointing. Although, it was kind of satisfying to see it work, but yet you'd play the game for like 10 minutes because it was really crap, because I picked the shortest one to load in. But yeah. Yeah, Jeff, you're not wrong. Hard to hold on to everything. I wish I could have held on to more, though. Yeah, I did manage to hold on to some stuff, thankfully. I've always been quite sentimental, so I've kept things like letters and bits and pieces like that, thankfully. Hardware changes so fast, Paul says, that it's hard to keep up. Keep old stuff around, as you're always wanting more powerful systems. Yeah. Well, if you're in that industry, Paul, then, as I seem to remember you are, that's a different ballgame, isn't it? Stefan, what kind of computers will there be in Void? That is a good point. I've thought about the terminals. So there's going to be like terminal tables. So you can find a terminal on a thing, and you can then roll on the table as a consequence for that. But the actual the actual technology of it, I don't know. So we're just going to have to see. Totally remember that, Toby. Our news agents had a revolving rack of 8-bit cassettes too. Same here. And a lot of them were by people just like me, like kids had made stuff and self-printed it. I remember a couple I got, but just obviously people had printed their own covers and just tucked them in and copied onto the cassette. And they worked, There were some really smart people out there coding. When they realised that they could make games, they did. Go to 70, print end, yes. The cycle of the code, I love it. Yeah, nice one, Mark. You used to get code in magazines, yes. Yes. Is that a statement, Adam, or are you like, is that something you didn't know, or you did know? You did know that, I assume. There used to be coding. Right. So, yeah. You used to type it into these computers. They were just 8-bit computers, and you just type it in, and they were like basic things jump around, just all that sort of thing. Paul, my high school had teletype access to Iowa. Yeah, you know what I mean. State University mainframe used paper punch tape to record programs. Wow. Okay. So you've been in it for a while, Paul. Nice. Picked up most of my Atari games in there. Nice. The computers in 2.6 Void will sound like the Commodore 64. They will. Clunk, 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 clunk. Yeah, I listen. The Void ship isn't going to be. It's going to be more Klingon than Federation. Okay. It's going to be rougher, more clunky, but yeah, advanced. It's going to be the aesthetic's going to be grimmer with Jake doing the drawings. It's going to do it. I've asked him to do it in dip pen so that it makes it kind of like a bit more rougher. I hope it will be a HAL 9000. Well, I guess there might be some elements of that actually. I don't see why there can't be some kind of psychotic computer or elements of that. Yeah. Terminal table, says Starglider, as if I wasn't already excited enough for Void. Fantastic. Mark, when I was working at Wellingborough Council, we started getting terminals linked to County Council mainframe. I got told off for trying to use BASIC on it to hack it. You were hacking in BASIC. Nice. Yeah. Oh man. I know. Times. Wow, it was different. It was so different back then. It used it. So they misunderstood. Oh, I get you. Yeah. No, it's crazy. I'm excited. For the first time, I've entered my 50s, and I'm like, okay. You start getting health checks. You got to do the old stool sample for bowel cancer, all that type of stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, are they going to be able to cure any sort of serious illness that I have now? But I'm actually starting to think that maybe we are moving in that direction. That maybe if I get some bad illness, we are going to have some way of curing it with gene therapy or AI technology. And I think as much as we see some of this technology as evil, evil, what's it going to do to the world? In some ways, it has a bad influence, but in other areas like science, maybe we have a hope. Today the news is that a university in London has discovered the cure or a great repressor of Huntington's disease, which is like a dementia-based disease. And now they have and now they have this. They're curing this disease because of the new technologies that we now have. And I feel like maybe we've entered a new age. Maybe illnesses they will start to cure, and they've found other forms of antibiotics that they can now, AI has been able to generate. Well, work towards that. So there are other definitely positive things. So that feels like a positive note to end the stream. When I feel, and Jeff says, if AI determines you are worthy, then you'll get the cure. I know. It feels the world's gone mad. We've got to have places like the dungeon to escape to, surely. Bit like in Elysium. I've got to watch that film again. I haven't seen that film in a long time. Elysium. Has that got Matt Damon in? I think it's got Matt Damon in. I think so. It's coming up to 6 o'clock. It's been a good stream. It's been a fun stream. It's been nice just to have a good old chin wag, and yeah, brilliant, good stuff. So the bookmark here, we've got the Contagion card done. Animal Companion will be done tomorrow. I'm going to hopefully send Animal Companion out at the weekend. It's been good seeing you, Mainframe. Because it's been really fun today. Really enjoyed this conversation that we've slid into. It's fantastic. In college, I wrote a basic. Paul says basic computer program to randomly generate a dungeon level 25 by 25 to explore on a text terminal. It created a 5K file for each explorer. I was forced to take it down when the university found out, the school, when the college found out that you were using up all of their memory on their mainframe. And it sounds like Paul, you were a bit of a menace, weren't you? Yeah. Yeah, that is huge. Yep. It's a simple yep. I was a complete menace. Fantastic. No. A bit. No, I'm sure you weren't. Look, we need people like you. Make things work. Now that we're completely reliant on computers. Virtually. Although David will disagree with me, I'm sure. Yeah, okay. Guys, it has been a lot of fun today. We're going to call it there. And yeah, exciting times. We're getting things done. And I'm going to be trying to get the final version of the rules done. I've got some great notes to go through on that. Thank you, Jeff, for your additional notes from your testing as well. Anybody else has got any testing stuff they want to send me, that gets incorporated and then gets put in the credits. We feel like the balance is good at the moment for the adventurer. And now I've worked a lot. I've changed quite a lot in the Animal Companion, Jeff. You'll find out as we when you get it tomorrow. That yeah, I've nerfed a lot of what's in the Animal Companion. I've added in a new skill, bits and pieces. You'll see if you watch the beginning of the video back. So yeah, guys, you take care. I will see you hopefully on Friday evening. So yeah, we can catch up, and I'll be talking about the rules and stuff like that, and what we've got, where we're at, and how we're doing. All right, guys, take care, and I will catch up with you soon.